Hi everyone. So in this one we'll be talking about what you can use Python for. The truth is, if you're a Python beginner, if you're just learning Python, you might get confused on where to start and what you should focus on. It's a normal thing, so don't be dismayed. There are many applications of Python out there, ranging from data science to web development to data scraping and what have you. But you want to focus on a particular line, on a particular path, and sometimes you might want to diversify into one or two or more of these applications of Python. So what are the things you can actually use Python for? This is a question that pops on the mind of so many beginners, so you don't have to feel bad about it. First off, let's start with the one that many people know, which is data science and machine learning. You might have heard this several times, that Python is a good programming language. It's one of the best programming languages for data science and machine learning. And there are many built-in tools in Python that you can use for this purpose. For instance, sklearn is a built-in tool for training models, and also we have tools like TensorFlow. We have Matplotlib. Actually, TensorFlow is like a third-party tool, but it works well with Python for data science, for machine learning. And you can apply Python in natural language processing, and that's where tools like NLTK comes in image classification and computer vision. That's where you can be talking about tools like TensorFlow and Keras and OpenCV2, and in predictive analysis, also in time series analysis, anomaly detection to detect faults in the system, in recommendation systems, for clustering and segmentation, and for social media and segment analysis. Well, I don't have to keep saying this, but the thing is that we've seen the application of Python. We've even seen it recently, especially in natural language processing, and we are now seeing how machine learning can actually be applied in our everyday life. For instance, we've seen tools like ChatGPT and Google Bard popping out, and so many generative AI tools for generating images and all that. In fact, ChatGPT was built on TensorFlow and Python. So I can say that it's evident that Python is a very good programming language for for building projects in data science and machine learning. So if you're looking at studying data science or machine learning, or going into machine learning, you're on the right path if you're learning Python. Okay, so that's one. And another area where Python has found vast use is in web development. If you're looking to go into back-end programming, Python is a good way to start, because Python is a very simple language, very easy to understand, and that's why it's many people prefer to use it in things like data science and web development. It's just more like writing plain English. Although Python is interpreted, and okay, let me drop that for now, but let's focus web development. We have many frameworks that you can use to build websites in Python. A framework like Django is a very, very versatile one that you can use to actually build a website from scratch to finish. And because Django actually has its own templating engine, and also has this admin interface, it allows you to come up with a website so quickly. Let's take, for instance, if you want to build a CMS, content management system, Django is one of the best tools that you can use. Also, you can go into Flask if you feel okay, you want to, go into the MVC architecture. Django uses the MVT architecture. And Flask tools like Flask and Fast API allow you to actually come up with your own code-based architecture. They don't bore you with sticking to a particular architecture. Cherry, Py, and TurboJS are also very good tools. I think TurboJS uses it's based on MVC too. I'm not so familiar with them, with Cherry Py and TurboJS, but Fast API, Flask, and Django are good tools that Python uses, that you can use for Python web development. So if you're also learning Python web development and you're learning Python, you might want to add, of course, you should add JavaScript along the line, because you want to make the website responsive, and you want to learn HTML and CSS too, of course. And maybe by the time you are very good with JavaScript, you can pick one of the frameworks along with one of these Python tools, let's say React or Angular or Vue, for instance. You can pick them and pair them with any of these Python web frameworks. And if you want to build APIs, Fast API is one of the best tools for building APIs, because it has this data modeling system that allows you to, verify data before you actually enter them into the database and all that. It's built on the Pydantic model, so Fast API is a very good way to also start, and it's more like you're writing a vanilla Python. So these are very good ways to start, but like always, I'll recommend that you start with the basics first before you even venture into any of these things. So that's that. And another area that you can actually use Python is data engineering. Well, maybe many people don't like to hear this, but the thing is, data engineering is a very vast field, right? So I can say that Python is the only tool that you can use for data engineering. In fact, some people go out of using programming languages to using several other tools. You can pair, for instance, Hadoop. You can pair Hadoop, PySpark, or Apache Airflow, Apache Spark, Apache Kafka with Python, for data warehousing and data storage and all of that. So data engineering is also a very good aspect where Python has found its use case. For instance, in data collection and ingestion, you're going to need a couple of web scraping knowledge there, and Python actually finds its use case in web scraping too, and connecting with APIs and collecting data from data sources, data storage and management, interacting with the database daily. You can actually use Python to interact with NoSQL and SQL databases. Then in data transformation and data processing, so many other fields, like you can also apply Python in fields like, let's say, data security and privacy and data governance and compliance. So that's when you might be going into big data file system, when you're talking about MapReduce and all that. There are many areas you can use Python in data engineering. I'm not so fast with PySpark, but I know about Hadoop and I know about Apache Kafka. So, and these are very good tools that pair with Python. For instance, you can use Hadoop with MongoDB, when you are talking about big data processing in Python. So that's another field where you can use Python. And talking about web scraping, oh wow, web scraping is, in fact, I can say Python excels in web scraping so well, ranging from whether you want to get images from the web, scrape some images from websites like pexels.com, free reality images, of course, pexels.com, Pixabay, and so many other sites, or you want to get videos downloaded from the internet, or download some text, or maybe you need some journals for your next narrative, for your next project, you want to get some journals based on a particular topic, you can write them using Python. And one of the most useful tools in web scraping for Python is Beautiful Soup, and you can also use Scrappy. There are many other tools, but I'm so familiar with Beautiful Soup and Scrappy. And in case you hit roadblock, Selenium is actually a framework, an automation framework, Selenium and Playwright. You can pair Beautiful Soup, for instance, or Scrappy with automation tools like Selenium and Playwright, which was developed by Microsoft. You can pair them with these tools to actually buy some internet, internet blockades. So these are, areas you can use Python for web scraping. For instance, if a website isn't allowing you to use, if it's a responsive website that is not allowing you to interact with it due to JavaScript, you can actually use Selenium to bypass that. However, be careful the way you scrape data from websites. Make sure that you are actually abiding with the rules of web scraping before you can, scrape data from any website, because it might land you into trouble if you scrape from where you shouldn't scrape. So be very careful while scraping data from any place on the internet. And another application of Python is in graphical user interface. You can actually use a Python to build, I was talking about, I think I talked about simple automation, or if I've not talked about it, I'm talking about it now. You can actually use it to build graphical user interfaces on your computer, just simple ones. It of course, it doesn't have to be mine, because it might not be realistic building a commercial graphical interface using Python, but you can actually automate some tasks like getting file directories or something similar with Python tools like Tkinter, PyQt, PyGTK, and when we are talking about building web integrated GUI, you can talk about you can go and look up PyWebView, right? So that's another fun aspect you can use Python. Another aspect that has caused a lot of controversies over time is game development. Well, the truth is that I will not, or let me say, why you can build games with Python. Not all games can be built with Python. For instance, you can't expect yourself to be building a football game with Python. Well, I wouldn't recommend Python for game development actually, but if you're looking to build something worthwhile that can teach you the rudimentaries of Python, you can build something fun with Python. You can build a fun game with Python, something like a snake game or tic-tac-toe or wall breaker game. Those are simple games you can actually build with Python. And Python also has tools like Pygame and Panda 3D for building games, although I won't recommend, like I say, using Python for game development. If you're looking at going into game development, I recommend you look at tools like C# or C++ or Java for that purpose. Godot Engine also works with Python very well though now, but like I said, it might be impractical using Python for commercial game development, because Python is actually an interpreted language, and there are chances that when you don't test, or even sometimes you've tested very well, you might get runtime errors. And even apart from that, it's not a recommended language for building games. So you might want to look elsewhere if you want to build games. But if you want to embark on a simple project that can teach you the rudimentaries of Python and the basics of Python, and from the basics to the advanced concept of Python, stuff like loops and conditional statements and classes and all that, OOP, you might embark on a game development project like tic-tac-toe, snake game, or wall breaker, what have you. So bioinformatics and computational biology, these are this is one of the areas where Python is finding use cases recently. Many people that are into the biological field, they feel okay, they feel limited in this area. They feel like, okay, I've seen people in the biological vertical asking me how can they use Python in computational biology and all that. The good news is that yes, Python is applicable in computational biology and bioinformatics. For instance, there is a tool called BioPython. BioPython, you can use BioPython in it can help you to get, it's a collection of tools, right? BioPython, for instance, is a collection of tools for executing tasks in computational biology using Python. Bioconda is also like Anaconda or Conda and PEEP, PyPy for managing dependencies. So Bioconda on its own, it allows you to install and manage dependencies, bioinformatic dependencies, or dependencies for interacting with biological systems like DNA sequencing. PySam and Python are also very good Python tools for interacting with biological components, biological tools. For instance, BioPython, Emboss, you can use that to interact with. With Python. Sorry. So Emboss is, I think Emboss is European molecular biology open software suite. It actually provides Python interface for Emboss tools for DNA sequencing. So this is all I have. But overall, I'll tell you that Python is vast, and like many programming languages, I recommend starting with the basics first. Then you can now decide which of these areas to focus on. But as for game development, I would advise you to look elsewhere, and more importantly, ensure you build relevant projects along as you learn. That's it, guys. So I hope this video helps you see how you can use Python and the various aspects where you can apply it in everyday life and where to also focus on. And I hope that by the end of this video, you know where you're going already. You can let me know in the comments which one of these areas you find interesting. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful time. Till next time.